Hello, welcome to Progressive Education Society's Modern College of Pharmacy, Nigadi, Pune, in the e-lecture series of in the subject Natural Drug Technology.
Hello, myself Dr. Bhushan Pimpre. In this video, we will discuss about WHO guidelines for good collection practices. Now we'll have a look at collection first. Now basically what is collection is gathering the plants or their plant parts or certain juices or exudates of the plant which are grown in jungles or wild region. Why should we go for collection? The reason for this is most of the plants cannot be cultivated because of the unfavorable geographical condition in the field or the farmland, or sometimes because of the time the plant takes to reap the yield or produce. Say suppose we will take an example of Naxomica seed, wherein the plant it takes more years, 2 to 3 years, to bear fruits, flowers, and then fruits, and then we can get the seeds. So it is very impossible for a farmer to engage his land for 2 to 3 years just for collection of the seeds. So most of the time there are many such species wherein the plant part which is medicinally active requires more years for growing on the plant. So it becomes very difficult for the farmer to invest his land for such a long period. So that is the reason why collection is done from wild sources. Now here collection and harvesting practically both are same, but the terminologies are different. Collection means gathering the plant parts from wild sources, and harvesting means gathering the plant part from cultivated plants. The farmer himself has sown the plant or the seedlings, and then he is reaping the yield. So in that case, harvesting is the term used. One care needs to be taken before collections. Since we get the yield in a large quantity, in that doesn't means we should reap all the yield or we should collect all the plant parts or plant. This will cause imbalance in the population of the medicinal plant, or there are also chances that certain microbes or insects which are surviving upon those plants, they will be eradicated. So that may cause ecological imbalance. So while collection from the wild sources, certain ethics needs to be followed. Now, the first step in collection is permission. We need to seek permission from local or regional government bodies or agencies before entering into a jungle or wild sources for collection. Unless we have proper documentary permission, written permission from the government agencies, we should not collect the plant parts. Various countries provide collection permits, and other documents from the government authorities are also required before collection. Even the landowners, certain sometimes the jungle area is owned by certain society or agency or an NGO. So in that case, the landowner's permission is very important prior to the collection. Now, this permission, it is a very time consuming process. The uh, person who wants to collect the plant part needs to apply for the permission. So the application will go to through the various channels into the government bodies, or certain private sectors, and then it will take suppose 1 day, 2 day, or it may take 6 months to 1 year for uh, granting the permission. So sufficient time needs to be allocated while planning of the collection. So suppose we cannot directly rely upon the government agencies that they can give you the permission within your desired time period. No, it is not so. Sometimes it takes a longer period. And meanwhile, if they permit you, there are chances that if the time is too long, time taken for permission is too long, in that case, there are chances that the desirable plant part may not be present on the plant. So suppose you have applied for the permission in January and you want to collect the plants part in February. So you will apply in January or so, and if the government takes 1 or 2 months, so in that case, it will appear, April or May will appear, and in that case, the plant part will not be there on the plant. So it will be, all your efforts will be in vain. So therefore, a proper planning for permission and the duration for permission should be there in your planning. There are certain red lists developed by various national legislative bodies or government bodies, and these red lists. Now, what is a red list? It is a list of plants which are sometimes endangered, which are not to be cultivated or not to be harvested or not to be collected because of their reduced population, or sometimes they are toxic, sometimes they can be narcotic NDPS, and they can be of NDPS category. So the government makes a list of such plants. Now this list will keep on varying from year to year, and every year the government publishes the list. So before going for before making an application, one should critically refer to the red list. Make sure that the plant part or the plant what you are collecting is not in the red list. The medicinal plant material, if suppose you are collecting in one country and you are exporting the same plant parts to another country. We will take an example. Mostly what happens is European and American scientists or the companies, they take the permission from Tibetan or Taiwan, or so suppose Chinese authorities, and then they export the plant harvested or collected plant part to their countries, either US or European or any other countries. So now there are certain extra documents which you should refer to. Like say suppose export from the country. There are chances that a plant can be collected in Taiwan and it can be consumed in Taiwan. But the same plant can be banned in certain European countries. So, or sometimes a plant can be collected, can be consumed in Taiwan, but cannot be exported out of the Taiwan country. So, you need to refer to the country's guidelines before collection, and you need to seek the export permit from that Taiwan country. Okay. Now, second is the phytosanitary certificate. Now, this phytosanitary certificate is issued by importing country. So suppose you have collected it from Taiwan and you have got the export permit from Taiwan and you want to export it to suppose England. And in that case, England will issue phytosanitary certificate to you only once the plant part appears at the ports of England. And in the England English authorities, they will look at the plant part. They will just confirm whether the plant part is the same and is not being infected by certain aflatoxin, or it is within the specified limits of that country. Then only they will issue you the phytosanitary certificate. Then you can directly export to England. Then there is another agency called as CITES, which is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. So the CITES, it is looking after the conservation of certain endangered species in plants as well as animal category. So this CITES permit is very important for export and import of any plant part. There are certain cases wherein you need to re-export the plant material. Now, what is re-exporting is you are collecting the plant part from Taiwan, you are processing it in England, and you are again exporting it out of England either to India or US. So now that becomes re-export. We will take another example. So suppose you have collected Naxomica seed from Taiwan, you have exported it to England, and in England you have isolated or prepared an extract of Naxomica, and the extract is now exported to US. So that becomes re-export. Now this re-export also requires site certification. There are certain other documents which are required, and that these documents may vary from country to country. Another important step in the collection practice is technical planning. Before actually going to the site for collection of crude drug or raw material, proper planning is very important, because we are uncertain or unsure whether what kind of situations will we be facing with, like for say for example drastic environmental conditions like heavy rainfall, landslides, or sometimes biotic abiotic factors may adversely affect, like say for example um, certain wild animals or unknown microorganisms or certain diseases disorders. So to deal with this, a proper planning and should be there in hand beforehand. Geographical distribution and the population density of the medicinal plant needs to be well studied, because geographical distribution means, say suppose Pune region. Now we can understand in Pune there is wide diversity. In Pune district itself there is Tamini Ghat or Western Ghats. Along with that, there are certain other regions wherein a different kind of medicinal herbs are available. So within a particular geographical location also, the detailed location of the plant, exact location of the plant, with in terms of altitudes, longitudes, and latitudes need to be there with in hand. Plus the population density, that means what is the how much amount of crude drug can be collected and without harming the other ecological services. Distance from home base and quality of the targeted material, target plant. For example, if you are collecting the herb from one location, the once collected the herb, it is usually in semi-dried or say suppose wet condition. So you need to process it before manufacturing, and most of the herbs they require immediate or fast processing. So for this reason, the nearby processing units should be tapped with or should be contacted for processing of the collected material, or sometimes it can be dried, because most of the times it happens that the wet or semi-dried material, if it is transported, there are chances that fungus or other microbial load may increase on the collected parts. Once the collection site is finalized, it is advisable that you should collect the permission from local or regional authorities. Let's suppose we will take an example of the Santalam album, Chandan. So herein the sandalwood, it is widely grown in Karnataka jungles. So if you want to collect Santalam album, you need to take prior permission of Karnataka government or the local authorities wherein you are going for collection. The information, detailed information about the plant, like detailed botanical information, taxonomy, distribution, phenology, plus the genetic diversity. Many times it happens that the plant collected 5 years ago and the plant which is collected from the same zone or same region after 5 years has a drastic variation in the yield of phytoconstituents. So the genetic diversity needs to be ascertained. The reproductive biology and ethnobotany also plays an important role to determine the yield or to change or alter the yield of phytoconstituent. Environmental conditions such as whether that during the time of collection whether there will be rainfall or harsh sunlight or winter chills or snowfall, whatever it is, the detailed environmental condition needs to be taken before going during the planning. The geology, soil, climate, and the vegetation, that means the surrounding vegetation of that jungle or forest, should be taken into consideration because the transportation also will rely upon the geological or soil or climatic conditions. Once you have finalized all the details about the site, then comes the plant. The plant, what you are collecting, the detailed photograph or a search image needs to be developed. Now, what is a search image? A search image comprises of not only a photograph but also the systematic botanical details, then the topographical or exact geographical location of the plant, and detail local name or um, Latin name and other vernacular names of the plant. Further, the plant photograph that is collected for identification or collection purpose should be matched with standard books or herbariums, specimens, and along with the common and local names in order to train the worker, because most of the time the workers employed, they are not mm, aware about the detailed photographs of the plant. So the detailed photograph can be fetched from either the pharmacopoeias or certain standard books, and this will help in training the workers. Also, botanical keys, that means the detailed minute structure of the plant that helps in identification and authentication of the herbal material and um, avoids the look-alike species from getting collected. Like for example, stipules present at the base of the petiole or the venation pattern, then the number of anthers, number of stigma, and whether the stigma are fused or not, and how is the estivation of the flower, the petals, etc. These are called as the botanical keys that are very very important in identification of the plant. So along with the workers what you have employed, most of the time contract basis workers are employed in this work. Along with these workers, a team which is well familiar with good collection technique as to what part of the plant is to be collected and what part is to be discarded or should not be collected. The continuous monitoring of this collection process should be under the team of a well-trained individuals who are well aware about the collection practices. One more thing is the transport. Transportation of not only the personnels involved in collection, but also the collected material, like for example, the wooden logs or sometimes bark or fruits or leaves, whatever you have collected, a proper provision is to be made for the transportation of these material, along with the equipments used for transportation. Most of the time, JCBs and harvesters are not entertained in forest region, but certain small equipments are permitted, and such can be transported. So during the transportation or even during the usage of such equipments, care is to be taken so that it does not damages the collected plant material. Frequent or regular training of the workers engaged in collection is very very essential, because due to change in the geographical region or due to change in the climatic condition, a same plant can show dimorphic behavior. Certain plants, the leaf size may shrink, the leaf size may increase or decrease depending upon the season, or the color may vary slightly, and this may create confusion. So detailed regular training of the personnel is very very important. One more thing that is to be kept in mind during planning is the detailed written do's and don'ts, as well as rules and regulations or roles and responsibility should be handed over to each person engaged, because the many a times it is observed that the workers who are engaged in collection, they, along with the collection or the moment they have finished their work, they get engaged in certain other malpractices, like uprooting certain plants which for which we the uh, collector has not sought the permission, or collection of honey from honeycomb, or killing certain wild animals and so on. So these kind of practices should not be followed by the workers. So such kind of do's, the list of do's and don'ts should be given in written to all the workers and their and the employed people. The effect of collection on the local communities, like sometimes the tribal people mm, mm, may be collecting the same material what the collector has sought the permission from the government. So in that case, the collector should think ethically about the tribal people and the wages they are getting from it. Instead, the collector should ethically employ the tribal people in collection of the material, so that they will be provided with the fair wages. Ecological impact on of the collected material should be ascertained over the period of time. That means if you are uprooting certain plants, the insects, microbes or animals who are surviving upon the plant in their habitat are eradicated or disturbed. So there should not be any ecological imbalance or hazardous effects of collection on the ecological or the environment. The collected material should not be exhaustively collected so that the forest gets completely there is no plant such plant there is no remnants of the plant in such forest, should not happen. That means over collection should be avoided, like the fishermen do. They do not over fish the particular species. Instead, certain fishes are left, or certain number of fishes of the same species are left in the oceans, so that they can multiply in their season. Similarly, in case of plants also, certain plants should be left untapped in order to collect the plant material in the next season, or through for continuous collection of the same plant material. Third important step is selection of the medicinal plant for collection. That means the exact medicinal plant that is to be selected for collection needs to be well studied. The species or the variety that you are selecting should be either specified in the national or regional pharmacopoeia or the country's document. Or also the end user, that means the country wherein you will be exporting the material, in that country's pharmacopoeia it should be mentioned. In case if it is absent in any of the pharmacopoeias of the end user's country, you may refer to other countries' pharmacopoeia, or even you may refer to standard literatures which are available even offline as well as on the internet sources. In case if the plant to be collected is altogether a new variety or a newly discovered species, in that case, the plant needs to be identified, documented with the nearby Botanical Survey of India, or from the nearby authenticating agency. And the record of such kind of documentation or authentication should be maintained. That means the plant, the new species, if it is altogether a new species, a herbarium should be prepared, and it should be submitted to the authenticating agency, and a certificate, that is authentication certificate, should be sought from the uh, agency where you have submitted the herbarium. This agency will give you the certificate which has the voucher specimen number. Now, voucher specimen number is the number that is unique for the submitted specimen. And the authentication certificate should also include the name and signature of the person who has identified the plant material. That means the botanist who has identified the newly discovered species or material. If the medicinal plant is not well known to the community, local community, even there are chances that many a plants they grow in our surrounding, but we are unaware about the botanical identity. In that case, the local community should be made aware with the help of documentation or photographs, so that the collection becomes easier. The process of collection becomes much more. Now, once you have completed the planning procedure, sought the permission from the regulatory agencies, during uh, the collection should be made in such a way that it should ensure long-term survival of the wild population of that species, so that you can tap the same sources again and again, or throughout many years. Also, the microbes or plants, birds, and other vines which are creeping or growing upon this plant will not be affected. Exactly determine the population density in that geographical zone, and in case if it is a rare species, it should be skipped from collection. The species that is to be collected, uh, appropriate season or time period should be decided for collection, because there are chances that in a particular season the species might not have a flowering season, and if you are going for collecting the flowers should be present, you should approach in the flowering season. In case if you are collecting the barks, make sure that it is not a rainy season or there is no excessive humidity. The best time for collection is the quality peak season or the time of the day. Now, even the phytoconstituents vary when the collection is a collection of the plant part is in different time of the day. We will take a very simple example of tea leaves. Tea leaves have maximum tea tree oil when they are collected in the morning. Similarly, opium, it is incised in the morning, so that throughout the day it oozes out the latex, and in the night the latex gets solidified. So next day in the morning the dried latex can be collected. Likewise, depending upon the time of the day, phytoconstituents quality and quantity varies a lot. Generally, JCBs or suppose bulldozers are not permitted within the forest for collection because they can cause huge destruction to the environment or the ecological system. So, non-destructive methods should be implemented during collection of the plant material. Especially if you are collecting the roots, make sure you are not damaging the main root and collect only the secondary or tertiary roots. Secondary and tertiary roots are the branches of the main root. And if you are collecting or cutting only the secondary and tertiary roots, it will not adversely harm the plant. So the plant will survive and you will get your desired plant material. When you are collecting the barks, uh, girdling and entire stripping of the bark should be avoided, as this can cause drying off or the entire plant can get dried off. Longitudinal strips of the bark, very simple small strips of 1 to 3 inches, should be taken out from the plant part. Collection should not be made in an area which is heavily perfused with pesticides, because suppose you are collecting from the wild sources which are adjacent to agricultural farmland. So now what happens is the farmers, they keep on spraying the pesticides, and these pesticides may even contaminate the species, or can also be present on the species those are collected from the adjoining jungle or wild areas. Even the collection should be avoided from areas which are located near the roadside because of the pollution. The phytoconstituent or the yield may vary, or sometimes the quality may vary. Even garbage dumping areas should not be near to the site of collection, as it can leach out certain hazardous chemicals, and same chemicals can be penetrated into the plant material. So therefore, the toxicity should be avoided by avoiding the collection from pesticidal area, or area which is near heavily sprayed with pesticides, or roadsides, or drainages, or even industrial effluents are mixed in the nearby bodies. In that case, the plant should be skipped. Further, during collection of the medicinal plants, if the area that is heavily or allocated for active pastures, pastures are the area wherein it is specially allocated for grazing of the cattle, and this, if you are collecting the medicinal plants from such an area, there are chances that the medicinal plant material may be contaminated with the droppings or excreta of the cattle. And further, the plants should not also be collected from riverside area, as it can lead to serious soil erosion. Removal of unwanted plant parts or the adhered soil material should effectively be carried out in the on the collected site of collection, or an processing area which is nearby to the site of collection. so that the sorting and cutting of the desired plant material takes place. Decomposed medicinal plant material should be discarded because there are chances that during transportation, a single decomposed material may further transmit its contamination to the other healthy plant parts. During transportation or even during storage, the plant parts should be protected from insects, rodents, birds, or domestic animals either by fumigation or by spraying with permissible pesticides. Now again, the pesticides what you are spraying should be well documented and should respect the local, regional as well as the country wherein you are going to export the material. It should follow all the guidelines of these two countries. If the collection site is far away from the processing facility, sun drying can be done in order to protect the plant material or in order to prevent the decomposition of the plant material before transport. If there are chances that a single agency is involved in collection of multiple plants, it is not always that a company who is manufacturing the medicinal products, it itself or the employees of the companies are going and collecting from the wild source. No, it usually does not happen. So what is the case is the company allots an agency or gives a contract to an agency, and such an agency is already involved in collection of medicinal plant for few other medicinal companies. So a single company or a single agency simultaneously might be collecting two or multiple medicinal plants. So in that case, cross contamination, that means we will take an example of, so suppose Nux vomica seeds should not enter into suppose another wild Santalum album wood or heartwood, or the if it is processed, the Nux vomica seed will cause due to cross contamination, the powder of Nux vomica seed may enter into Santalum album, so which is not desirable. So throughout the procedure of collection and transport, everything should be separately maintained. It should be separately collected, separately gathered, and even transported in separate containers. Now again, color codes or sometimes labels can be followed for transportation, collection, or storage. In this, as far as the tools for collection are concerned, like say, suppose hammers or shovels or sickles uh, or rakes, should be properly cleaned and should not have any rusts or deposits of rust or previously collected materials residue should not be present over it, or even these materials should be well maintained and should be in a proper condition. At times, it can be observed that these equipments or tools, they are leaking their oils. Most of the equipments require greasing or oiling, and over oiling will cause the dripping of these oil into the collected plant material. So that can give a foul odor or it may contaminate the product. The fifth point is regarding the personnels employed for collection. Utmost care and training needs to be taken for all the personnels employed for collection. Usually, local experts who are employed for exhibiting the area as well as the site in detail, who has a thorough knowledge about the site as well as the certain plants and the dangers present in that particular area, should be taken the and he should be given a formal or informal practical education about collection of the plant material. So he can assist us in order to prevent any damage to the plant material, and also he can alarm us from the dangers in that particular zone. The field personnel, that means the expert team, should have adequate botanical training as to what exactly the plant part is, and what are the look-alikes of such plant, and what is the plant part, which plant part is to be collected. He should be able to recognize the plant part in its habitat. This is very, very important. Usually botanists, they identify the plant on the paper or when it is taken into the lab, but when it is in the jungle or the forest, it becomes very difficult because of the saturation of the color, or because of the hiding of the plant material, plant part or plant beneath certain other plants. So identification within their environment is a tough task. The local experts who are employed should serve a link between the non-local people, that means the collector, as well as the local community, in order to facilitate the communication or translation. The team should be assisted with first aid kit, or even the edibles, and it should take proper measures to ensure welfare and safety of all the staff employed as well as the local community. Further, proper protective gears should be carried during the collection, as there are certain plants which can cause irritation or dermatitis. There can you can get exposed to certain poisonous plants or even poisonous animals, or disease carrying insects, or the insects which can serve as an vector like malaria. So effective or proper protective clothing should be worn before collection. And most important part about collection process is documentation. Now, documentation involves all the details right from planning till the supply of the raw material to either the company itself or to some other countries. The details about the geographic location from where the plant is collected, and also the period during which it was collected. Like for example, certain plants, they do have two different seasons in which they can be harvested or collected. So the harvesting period or collection period plays an important role to determine the presence of other phytoconstituents, as well as the presence of quantity and quality of the desired phytoconstituent. All the batches from each area, suppose if you have signed different vendors, or if you have assigned different agencies the work of collection of raw material, like we will take a simple example which is not collected but cultivated, curcuma longa. It is cultivated in various different parts of India, and if you are collecting it from harvesting it from different sources, in that case the batch number given to particular geographical locations collection should be unambiguous. That means it should not be confusing and unmistakably identified by the batch number. There should not be any mistake or confusion regarding the batch number. Example, the curcuma longa collected from Rajasthan can be named as RJ. One collected from Maharashtra can be named as MH, the batch numbers, and so on. Certain circumstances like rainfall or humidity or sunlight can directly influence the chemical composition of the phytoconstituent, and even the presence or absence of pest also plays an important role in determining the quality of the phytoconstituent. So it should be documented in that which period and what in what circumstances the crude drug was collected. The detailed steps of processes followed, like thrashing, then drying, sun drying procedure, whether it is sun dried, shade dried, or artificially dried, the procedure, because every different aspect of these drying methods, they have a direct impact on the quality of the product. All the processing steps should be documented, including the location where it was processed. The processing company or the processing agency, if it is engaged in processing of any other crude drugs, there are chances that it may cause cross contamination. So, in order to avoid it, or in order to locate the problem associated with the finished product, these kind of steps or documentary evidences play an important role. The If at all the plant is cultivated, in that case, the previous crop that has been taken on the plant and the various pesticides or fertilizers sprayed should be documented. Which pesticide was sprayed, and what was the quantity, what was the dilution, all the details related to the fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, or growth promoters or growth hormones needs to be documented. If you are storing it in the storehouse, there are chances that the rodents or any other pest may cause contamination to the stored crude drug. In these conditions or in these cases, various fumigants are applied. Fumigants range from herbal or making a smoke of herbal dried material like neem and all, or there are certain synthetic fumigants as well. So whichever fumigant was applied during the storage is properly documented and should respect with the uh, local or regional specification. The batch number which is given to different batches of collected plant material should take place at an early stage in order to avoid confusion or mix up with multiple sets of herbarium should be maintained. Herbarium of a single herbarium, there are chances that it may it may get exposed to various handling processes and degrade or decompose over the period of time. So multiple herbarium needs to be preserved, or even photographic record wherein soft copies of videos or digital images of cultivation or collection site should be preserved. All the agreements between the collector, the processor, the purchaser, and the IPR, or any benefit arising out of this, should be entered into an agreement and should be recorded properly. Collected and cultivated material should carry different batch numbers. This is very important because there are chances that single plant can be collected and from the wild sources, or even it can be cultivated in open fields. So if it is cultivated, it should have a different batch number, and if it is collected, should bear a different batch number in order to avoid the confusion, or in order to determine the effect of pesticide, in order to determine the effect of any other biological variation caused due to wild genetic diversity and all the documents or even analytical reports of or produce, even local or national regulations, all these documents should be stored according to the requirement. That means whether the documents are to be preserved after 3 years from the sales of the finished product, or after 5 years from the sales of the finished product, or whatever is the specification, accordingly the document needs to be preserved. Generally, use of methyl bromide or phosphine for
fumigation of herbals should be notified to the buyer. If you are using these kind of fumigating agents like methyl bromide or phosphine, it should be conveyed to all the people who are handling the collected or cultivated plant material. It should even be recorded in the shipment paper, wherein these papers should be sent along with the consignment to various different countries wherein we are exporting the crude drugs, because there are certain countries who ban or who are not allowing permitting the use of methyl bromide or phosphine in various as a fumigating agent. All the processes and procedure involved in the production and even the dates on which they are carried out, like once you have collected the plant material on suppose 2nd of January, and processing or that is drying was carried out up to 15th of January, this should be recorded. Or if was the drying started on 12th of January and ended on 15th of January, that means 3 days drying, that too in sun drying. Every minute detail of drying processing should be properly recorded. Again, the collection site, the unusual circumstances that may influence the quality, like uh, sudden rainfall or unexpected rainfall, or heavy blows of winds, or sometimes humidity, uh, these can directly hamper the quality of the product. The date of collection and the method by which it is collected, that means by hand picking or by felling, or by in case of bark by corpusing method, stripping method, whichever method was followed needs to be documented. The transportation detail, how long the produce or the collected material was in transit, uh, what mode of transport was followed, because if there are chances that along with the goods of our goods, there are chances that some other goods might be transported, and that can lead to cross contamination. So details about transportation needs to be recorded. Storage, how it was stored, and what were the other crude drugs which were stored along with the harvested or collected crude drug, how long it was stored, and what was the method of storage. That means whether it was cold storage, whether it was storage under dry ice or CO2, or what was the ambient temperature during storage. Everything needs to be recorded. Then the part of the plant, yes, this is very important, because ephedra, as we have discussed in the earlier lectures, like ephedra, entire biological source is same, but only a single word makes a huge difference. That is young stems. Young stems have a high amount of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine, whereas the matured one have very less amount of ephedrine, pseudoephedrine. So the part of the plant, exact size or age of the plant of part of the plant needs to be recorded. All the